Hi, this is Kelly, and today I'm going to take some cuttings from my smoke bush, which is more like a smoke tree. This is a very old-fashioned type plant. A lot of people keep it trimmed into a shrub shape. However, ours was here when we moved here almost 20 years ago, and it has always been like a tree. It's a very unique looking tree with a lot of twisted branches, and I really like it. In the fall, it gets like pink cotton candy type blooms on it, and they're really pretty. And a lot of times the cardinals build a nest in these branches, and I love cardinals. And this is the only one that we have, the only smoke bush. I believe it's a royal purple variety. The leaves right now are just starting to come out, and they're green, but they're tinged with a purple edge to them. So I'm going to show you where I'm going to get my cuttings and how I'm going to get them started. So here we have a smaller branch that's not big around, and I'm going to look for cuttings to take that the wood is more pliable than, say, this one, where this is a thicker, older branch. So I'm going to pick 4 of the flimsier ones, and I'm going to look for nodes. The nodes are little bumps that you could see, and I'm going to try to make my cutting there because the nodes contain the most concentrated amount of indeterminate cells, which means those cells could turn into anything. They could turn into the branch getting bigger, a leaf, a flower, or roots. That's what we're hoping in this case. So I'm gonna look for, I'm gonna cut at an angle. There's one. Let's see. Feeling for pliability, and I'm again making my cut near a node, and I'm gonna do 4, and I'm gonna put them all in the same pot. That's 3. One more. One of these. This one here looks like a good one. Okay, so I have 4 short cuttings, and they do have some leaves on them, and as I said before, you could see that they're tinged with a purple color on the edge, and later in the summer those leaves will deepen into a darker purple. So I have all of my supplies here that I need. The first thing is, I believe this is a 4-inch pot of our potting soil that we make, which is a mixture of perlite and peat moss and water. And I have it pretty wet right now, so I won't need to water these cuttings. Then I have a stick that I cut. I'm gonna put the stick directly in the middle, and that's just gonna help to support the baggie that's gonna go on the top, because I want to try to keep the baggie away from the leaves as much as possible. I have a Ziploc baggie. I like to use the freezer bags because they have a little bit more of a stiffness to them, and they'll keep their shape. And as this plant is growing roots, it will develop condensation on the inside of the bag, which in a lighter weight bag, it could droop and touch the leaves. And we really want to try to keep the bag from being in contact with the leaves as much as possible. And I have a rubber band around my wrist. I like to put the rubber band on the pot before I do anything else. That way I'm not at risk of moving the cuttings out of place or anything else. It's just much easier if you put the rubber band on first. Okay, then I have my rooting hormone. Usually I would dump this into a smaller container, but there's not a lot in this container, so I'm going to be able to dip my cuttings, making sure to thoroughly coat the open area and the node, and just knock off any excess. And I'm gonna stick it straight down in the middle, close to the stick. I'm gonna give it a little tamping down just to make sure that it's in contact with the soil, that there's no air pockets in there. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the other three. Tapped off any extra. The reason why you don't really want to use an open container of rooting hormone while you are going to be using it on many different plants is you don't want to spread any diseases to your new cuttings that may be on one plant and not on another. But since I have so little left in this container, I'm just tapping off the extra, but still making sure that there's a good coating on the open end. And I'm gonna put them as close to the middle. That way, they'll be further away from the bag when I put it on. And this is just Greenlight brand rooting hormone. I probably got that either at Amazon or Lowe's. I'm gonna give the soil a good tamping all the way around the cuttings. Again, just to ensure that there's good contact and that the plant cuttings will be able to absorb water. Now, I'm going to put my baggie over the top. Oops. I may need to remove my stick. I think that this stick is a little bit too tall, and I think these cuttings are short enough that I could probably get away without the stick. I'm going to give them another tamping just to make sure that they're in place, that they don't move around. And this is just a temporary home. Once these develop roots, then they will each be moved into their own pot, which will be bigger. A lot of the things that I do are trial and error and experimental, and that stick just did not work. It's worked many other times, but it's a little too long, and I could have cut it shorter, but it wouldn't fit the same way. And I could see that I used a quart-size bag this time, and I could have probably done a lot better with a gallon-size bag. It's a little bit difficult to get it inside this little, get this pot inside of this bag. I had to kind of squeeze the pot in a little bit to make it work, but it will work. Now I put the rubber band around it as like a gasket to seal the plastic bag so that as much moisture as possible will stay in here for these cuttings to develop. The root system. Now there won't be any condensation probably today, and you can work with your bag to make sure that your cuttings are away from the edge. But this is my mini greenhouse and my 4 new smoke bushes that I'm hoping to get established. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.